Are you ready for Sharks Night Shift? Are you ready for a very special episode of Sharks Night Shift? I told you we'd have a guest. I don't want to tell you who. Oh, there it is. I gave it away. It's Drew Remenda. We'll get to him in just a second. He can't hear this, but I'm about to play the most awesome introduction there ever was. Let's start Night Shift.
Broadcasting live and worldwide. Here's Brody Brazil.
Hello, Drew. Thanks for doing this.
Hey, hi, Brody.
Could you hear that? My headphones are pretty loud.
I can hear you.
Like, I really rock out when we do this.
That's pretty good.
And I like the announcer guy saying my name. That's the best part. Here's Brody Brazil.
Yeah.
So, hey, thanks for coming upstairs. So, I don't know if you know I do this after every game.
Oh, I'll pull the curtain back there for everybody. So we end doing Sharks post game, and then you go to your desk, or I go to a chair that they've given me, and I turn around to say goodbye to Brody, and he's already gone. He's already up here, and he's already going to work.
Yeah, it's true.
The hardest working man in show business.
I try and get on the live stream as fast as possible for two reasons. Number one, I want it to be fresh, and I want it to be right after the game. But also, I want to go home at a reasonable hour.
Good point.
So,
good point.
There's a lot to it. You look great, by the way, in HD, which is how this is streaming live.
Wow.
Do you know what you're streaming on right now? Do you even know where this is appearing?
No, I don't. But I'll tell you, as far as it looks great, this is I'll tell you two stories. Number one, when I was assistant coach for the Sharks back in '91, very first year, Lyndon Byers played for us. Lyndon was great, loved him. I walked in the dressing room once, I remember the suit I was wearing. I remember what I looked like. It was Armani navy blue, and it was a beautiful suit, double-breasted, big shoulders back in the day. And
of course,
LB goes, "Hey, Drew." Yeah, and he goes, "You look great." And I went, "Thanks, LB." And he goes, "Yeah, from the chin down." And my boys, Davis and Donovan, who are 25 years old, my twins, they are great. Love them to death. One day I was, they were here. This is way back when they were here, so they were in middle school back then.
Okay.
Put the suit on, coming to work, and I said, "Man, boys, your dad is good looking." And they went, "No, you dress well. There's a difference."
Just realizing to that first chirp, like you look good from the chin down. And by the way, if you see me looking over here, I'm just looking at the screen, so I'm multitasking. But that's actually the only thing you can control is like chin down. I mean, you can shave your face. You can like in life, you can really only control chin down. You can't control from here to here how it looks.
We had a bulldog. His name was George. Mm-hmm. We just lost him about 6 months ago. Broke my heart. Broke my heart. That was my guy. But George is a wrinkled up bulldog, right? Mm-hmm. English bulldog, purebred. So I take him for walks around the neighborhood, and a neighbor comes out one day and goes, "Hey, Drew." Yeah, and he goes, "You know those times you see where the owner and the dog are starting to look like each other?" I went, "You know what? You know what you can do with that opinion right now." So, but I think I had more wrinkles than George.
Well, if you could look like any dog, what would you want to look like?
I want to look like George, and I already do.
Oh.
Yeah, because George is my boy.
You don't want you don't want to be like a poodle or a golden retriever or you want to be a bulldog.
Jesus, this is like if you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be?
Welcome to your psychoanalysis. You thought we were going to talk Sharks. One other off-topic thing. Well, actually, it's kind of on topic. This doesn't remind me at all of Sharks Late Night Confidential, but people still talk about that as if we did that 2 years ago. It holds a special place in people's heart, and I had nothing to do with it other than
it was Randy's brainchild. It was Randy's brainchild.
Randy saying, "Hey, did you bring your flip cam?" And Drew and I are next door, so I'd knock on the hotel room, and there you were.
Randy put the robe on and the whole thing. Yeah, it was fun to do.
Yeah. Well, it was a predecessor of this. If we could have live streamed those, we would have done that. But you're here, and I do want to bring some chat into this conversation, tell you what people are saying, and you can respond to that. We'll do that in just a second. So, by the way, go ahead and put your comments in here on the live chat. I already see some, which we'll get to. This is your second tour of duty with the Sharks. How is, Sharks broadcast? Well, okay, all right, okay. I misspoke, and you're right.
Assistant coach.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
And then I went to Kansas City, got fired from Kansas City, came back as a radio broadcaster. Went from radio to TV, left TV for Hockey Night in Canada.
Right.
Dumbest move I ever made in my life.
See, now to prove that I'm not stupid here, I remember you saying goodbye to Randy, and it's
crying like
on YouTube.
Crying like a baby.
Randy said, he's left us for greener pastures. You couldn't even, you were doing the ugly cry. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Thankfully, I was able to come back even that same year in the playoffs. Left again when the Sharks went, get out of here because you're an egotistical maniac and you need to settle down and experience life on the other side. And then this is my next go around. Hopefully it's my last go around because I want to stay here until one day you just shuffle me off with the Zamboni snow.
I guess what I was probably trying to set up there in saying that is, first off, the whole first 3 tours kind of felt like one. So like,
true.
I know there was the hockey night thing, but I kind of forgot about, I conveniently forgot about that. But the thing I really wanted to get to is, man, I can tell how much you love being back.
Yeah.
Like this is, even though this team this season isn't playing their best, like you didn't jump it. You're not a front runner, bandwagon guy. Oh, they're the Stanley Cup contention. No, I mean, they're not really even playoff conversation right now, but you are loving every second of just this particular team. I know you love hockey, but why do you love Sharks hockey? What is it?
It's my team. It's my home. I got a chance to coach in the National Hockey League from George Kingston when I was at Hockey Canada. This was my first team. It's always been my first love, and I've said this before. What makes a great organization, what makes a great situation, is the people you're around. And for the Sharks, I don't know why. When I became a broadcaster, even when I was coaching, I'm not sure why the fans liked me as much as they did. I don't know why.
I don't know either, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody does. And I try to question it because if you really know me, I'm not that nice of a guy. But when the fans have always embraced me, I think it's because I've always tried to treat everybody when it comes to Sharks hockey with respect, as far as I know this, you know that, and I'm always going to try to tell you the truth. I'm always going to tell you what I think, and I'm going to be honest about it. That sometimes that's got me in some trouble, but you know what? I've not lied to the fans. When it comes to this team, it's the people. First off, coming back, and I'm not blowing smoke or trying to be a sycophant, but you, Randy, Danny, Brett, Scotty Hannon. I love working with you guys. Curtis.
You didn't name Curtis. I was just going to say that. Curtis. But I understood that.
I love working with you guys. You guys are pros and you guys are good at it, and you're good people. As far as the organization, it's the same thing. There's so many good people that are behind the scenes. I said this when I got back this time. Everybody who works for the San Jose Sharks for 10 years should have to go away and work for another team and experience life on the other side. And you will really, really, really appreciate how great it is here. It's a great place because of the geographic location. Yeah. It's a great place because of the fans and how much they're attached to the team. And it's a great place because of the people in the organization.
Well, and I'm going to get into the comments now. You're a big reason why I think there are a lot of Sharks fans. This one from Felix saying, popping in for a minute to say hi to Drew Remenda or popping in to say that Drew Remenda is the reason I got into hockey. Now, when somebody says that, I see your reaction. What do you want to say to that?
Well, first, sorry for everything I've ever said. No, Felix, it humbles me. I always thought to myself, when I first got the job as assistant coach, I just want to be here 5 years and then move on to coaching, right? Mm-hmm. Keep coaching somewhere. But we got to, right off the bat, we got to do these Sharks, we called Break the Ice. Mm-hmm. Brought these companies out and I would go out and teach hockey. I always liked to teach hockey. I worked for guys that were teachers of coaches. And I met a lot of people that way. And then doing Sharks hockey schools, met a lot of people that way. But when you get the chance to talk about hockey, and I always think that you can't ever teach the game too much or try to explain the game. I'm going to teach the game, explain the game. But when people tell me that, and I've had a lot of people do it, it's humbling, and I'm very grateful that you've taken the Sharks and loved them and loved the game of hockey like I do.
Here's another one from Moonglow. Met Drew after a game last millennium. Well, I mean, that sounds like a long time ago, but a long time. I remember you back then. Such a nice guy. Have his autograph on my autographed jersey. So you're probably on there with Patty.
Yeah.
Maybe a Pabs, maybe a Jumbo, maybe a Ryan Clough, maybe a Pat Falloon.
I tell people the same thing. It drives the price of the jersey down, after I sign
it. Oh, jeez. Does Drew miss hosting Shark Bite?
Yes, we were talking about that. Just as funny you say that. We were talking about that.
I said we should have played instead of post game tonight because we're just kind of ticked off. We should have played an episode of Shark Bite. People would have liked that more.
Kyle McLaren hitting me. We could do the best of Shark Bite. Kyle McLaren hitting me fighting Scotty Parker, and Danny Heatley quick quiz. That's a winner right there.
Danny Heatley. Well, why do we love making Danny Heatley impressions? Meeting Drew after a game back in like 2005 was bucket list material. And that's the thing about the tank is like even if you wanted to get away from fans, you kind of can't there based on where the booth was, the old booth was. And you're like, and I think fans saw that. You're right in the middle of their territory. So they would have that chance to shake a hand, say hi, take a picture, all that stuff.
Yeah, because you really want to get away from people who are telling you that they love you and they think you're great and everything else. Because you really that's the worst thing in the ever. That's why, but because of how great you guys have been to me is why I became that last couple of years, my head was just so large of, I'm Drew Remenda.
You're only a Pepsi drinker, but what I would do is hang around long enough to we're buying drinks. Oh, well, anybody want to buy Brazil a drink? Like that's the.
That was always the great thing about it.
Yeah.
That you got to talk to people after the game. Because I want to talk to people about hockey after the game. I really do. So it was always the fun part of it.
Here's another comment. Bring back Shark Bite with Drew. Whatever happened to the guy who hosted it after Drew?
There's a stretch there. You still got that picture?
The what?
You still got the picture from Shark Bite?
Oh, where you're doing the
when
bird?
I mentioned your name.
Yeah.
It's honestly, it's completely an accident.
Let me see here. There we go. Yeah, I think you're like, I'm Drew Remenda. It's like, what? Did he just flip the camera off? Like, what happened there? Caker Girl has this comment. Says, I respect Drew for always telling the truth, even when it might get him into trouble.
I was going to tell you a quick story, Caker Girl. Okay. So there was Daryl Sutter's coaching. And I'm on TV, and it might be early in my career. Well, it was early in my career on TV when Daryl's coaching. So there's a face-off. Sharks have pulled the goalie. I don't like the face-off alignment, and I say so on the air. This is what's going to happen. This is why I don't like this alignment. And I say so on the air, and it happens exactly like I said it was going to happen. Mm-hmm. And I think it was the Ducks. I think the Ducks score. And I said, and I was very blunt about how bad of a coaching move it was by Daryl. Because a guy who lost 100 plus games in the National Hockey League, quicker than anybody in the history of the league, can tell a guy who's like Daryl Sutter what he should be doing coaching.
But he's going to, even back then, that the head coach and the video team, they record the broadcast that you are talking on.
But you have to tell I'm not broadcasting to them, right? So I get brought into the president's office at there, and he said, "You're pretty harsh last night about that whole situation, blah 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 blah." And he starts to kind of reprimand me, and my go-to was, "Yeah, but was I wrong? I was 100% right." And Greg Jameson, and I wish I would have remembered this every time. He said, "Drew, just because you're right doesn't make you bulletproof."
Yeah. Well, in the end, we all have to answer to somebody, I suppose.
Exactly. Great lesson, though.
That's a weird scenario, though, because you want to be honest to the fans, but you also recognize that every player and their families get to see this broadcast, and the coach, and I mean, so it's hard, right? And I guess you never make it personal. Is that the trick?
You try.
Yeah.
You try not to, but every criticism sounds personal.
Right.
The greatest was Kyle McLaren. Kyle McLaren was fantastic because he would get on the plane or he'd walk by me and go, "What'd you say today?" And I'd look at him and go, "Nothing. I didn't say anything." And he goes, "Really? Because she's mad at you today." And I'd go, I'd look at him and went, "Oh, fourth goal I was." And he goes, and then we talk about it. Kyle was always great about it, though. He'd laugh. But there were some fans, players' wives and some fans that, or some members of the family who were not my fans. And then there was others that were just thinking I was the best thing since sliced bread. But
Here's another fun comment, and I don't know if it goes to the exact story that you and I always talk about. Bob Jackson says here, I have mad respect for Drew for not cussing out Ray Ratto that 1 year after the team got eliminated.
Do you want to tell the story? Can I tell the story?
All right, so it's a game in Glendale,
Arizona. Yeah,
right?
We're in Arizona. Yeah,
I was actually there. I don't know what the situation was, but I was in the Sharks room, so all I could hear was the studio, and then I know you were talking back, and I thought what I was hearing was actually in a commercial break. I didn't know where the show. I was getting ready to, I don't know, interview Todd or something, but like, are these guys arguing for real on TV? Or anyway, so the Sharks were struggling. They were kind of falling out of the race, or, you know, they were going through a big lull in a season with high expectations. And Ray says what in the studio? He says,
you just got to go out and win the game.
At some point,
you
no
got to go out and win the game.
Right.
Now, that game, the Sharks were dominant in that game. They just couldn't score.
Right.
They outchanced them. I think in the game, they outchanced them like 17 to 5
this
or something
was
like that.
back in the day when they put up like 50 shots a game instead of tonight where they put up like 13.
Right. So they were all over them. It's just one of those games. You just puck didn't go in.
Right.
Now, we're sitting waiting to come back on camera, and I'm listening to Ray.
Right.
Okay, and I'm hearing him say this, and
steam is coming out of your ears. Yeah.
Now, there was a guy in the truck who was our director at the time, and he says to me, "Go after him." And that was it. It was like, okay, let's go. So
you were like nudging. If I go back and which I have gone back and watched this because it's just so entertaining. Like you're even like nudging Randy,
it's
right?
Like, give it to me quick.
And Randy's like, oh boy.
Like I was hot about it because
what do you think they were trying to do, Ray?
Yeah.
I know exactly how you said it.
Yeah.
All right. Let me ask you a couple more things, and I don't want to take too much of your time.
No. It's fine.
We'll get it rolling here. But
are
the Sharks unlucky? I mean, this team was in the mix for most of the 2010s and never could. I mean, they got to the final. I know you weren't around that year, but even in that series, just things didn't go their way against Pittsburgh. And at some point, like they knocked on the door for so long. Now we're at a spot where we'd love if they were just knocking on the door again.
Right.
How do you see the Sharks? I guess let's say from 2008 on.
You know, it's funny, when I went to Edmonton, I had this discussion a lot of times with the Edmonton broadcasters. And I asked them once, I said, would you rather win it one time?
Right.
Or always be in the hunt? Would you rather win it one time and be out of the playoffs for 13, 14 years?
Right.
Or would you rather always be knocking on the door? And to a man, now they'd gone through 13 years of the decade plus of darkness.
Right.
They went, we'd rather always be there and give yourself a chance. If you're always there giving yourself a chance, then you're giving yourself a chance. There is a chance. As far as the Sharks, they weren't unlucky. They were just that one guy short. It was either goaltender. It was either a power play guy. It was either they just didn't have enough.
Or they had the player who was injured for the conference finals.
So when you look at where they are now, you look at every team that is now back to the rise of the top: the Colorado Avalanche, Tampa Bay Lightning, Florida never went through it. Look at Calgary, Edmonton, the teams that went down a long time had to build themselves back up. And the only way now you can build yourself back up, even throw the Rangers in there while we're at it, the only way you can build yourself back up now is draft and develop. With the salary cap the way it is and general managers handing out long-term contracts to solid, solidified guys in the National Hockey League, top stars that have maybe their best years are behind them, but they still got that 5 years left on this contract, you can only develop through the draft. You have to have 4, 5 top-end players on your team if you want to be a playoff team. And the sexy Sharks aren't there anymore. I mean, those guys are all, they're all gone, and they've, no more damn boilers. You've got Brent Burns, Tomas Hertl, Timo Meier, Logan Couture, Erik Karlsson. Those are the guys that you're putting the crux on and say, you've got to carry us to this next phase.
Right.
And by that time the next phase hits, you're probably going to see a Sharks team that's going to be looking very, very different. But you have to draft and develop, and that's the only way you get there. And you ask the fans for a lot. When you're asking the fans for their patience, and you're asking the fans for stick with us, you're asking a lot, especially in the Bay Area where your sports fans they've got a lot of choices.
Right.
In Edmonton, in Calgary, they don't have choices.
There's a CFL team in both cities.
Yeah. Okay, there's the Edmonton Eskimos who were garbage last year, and the Calgary Stampeders.
I believe they're the Elks now?
Oh, right. Sorry.
Come on.
That's right. Oh, boy, that's a fine back home. You're right. So they're the Elks now, which is grammar-wise incorrect because you don't see elks. They're elk. There's not a herd of elks. There's a herd of elk. Anyway, But it's drafting and developing. That's what it is, and that's how you get back to the top.
Yeah. So on that note, it's a Sharks franchise in a bit of transition.
Right.
What does that tell you about a Tomas Hertl contract? Let me throw out this idea. It may not even be about money with Hertl right now. I think the Sharks and he could figure out a dollar amount that would make everybody happy. I think it comes down to how many years do the Sharks feel comfortable? Obviously, we know Hertl in this middle of the career contract, he wants it to be a big one. He doesn't want to have to go through this again.
Absolutely.
And he also is probably interested in some no-move clauses, some no-trade clauses. So when people keep talking about, well, Hertl, re-sign him, first off, I think you'll know by March 21st, generally, if it's a yeah or a I don't think this is going to happen, because if it's not going to happen, they might move him. It's probably the prudent thing to do. But I just don't think that a Hertl, and you and I are not. Maybe you are. Maybe you're in the room.
No. It's way above my pay grade.
With Tomas's agent and Joe Will right now. But I bet you a lot of that centers around years and perks.
Yeah.
What's your gut say about him coming back?
Well, first off, your point about this is his contract. This is his time. This is the time that he is going to get paid. I mean, this is where he's going to make the most money in his career. That can't be ignored. That's the right that Tomas has earned as a free agent player. He has said he wants to go to a winner. He wants to go to a team that's got a chance to win a Stanley Cup, as every player who's a high-end elite guy wants to do. You want to get paid, and you want to go to a team that gives you the best chance to win. It may not even be about what Joe Will and the Sharks can or will offer. It might be, and I think is a very, very good chance, it's totally out of their control. Yeah. Tomas loves the guys, loves playing here. As we talked about all the positive, he feels it too. But in this situation, this is when it comes down to business. And it may not, and I think it's not going to, be on what you said, whether the Sharks, how much the Sharks offer him, or even how long they offer it for. It'll be Tomas deciding what's the best business move for me, and do I have a chance to get to a Stanley Cup?
Here's a good question that, and it's kind of vague, but I think you could probably take it in a lot of different ways. I'm curious to hear what you say. The big question is, what is the future of the Sharks? That comes from Joseph. Like, how would you define it? Maybe optimally, Drew. Like, optimally, what is the future of the Sharks?
Optimally, you've got, let's start with this year and see where it goes. Okay, you got 14 rookies that play in the National Hockey League this year for the San Jose Sharks, most in. The Sharks prospect pool. Mm-hmm. They rate these things, and we get the clips. They rate these things as gone way up. It's gone from one of the lower ones in the league to in the top. I think it's top 17 or 18. It's
got to do with probably Weisblatt and Co.
Yeah.
And
by the way, Weisblatt's a hell of a player.
You seen him in person?
Yeah, he's seen him in person in the dub.
So the dub.
Yeah, the dub. So it's the cool hockey lingo talk.
Chell. Go ahead. Sorry.
He is. They're building up their prospect pool. It is going to be a time, though. I mean, this is not going to turn around in a year or two or three. This is a time that's going to take 4 or 5 years, where you're going to start to see a team that is going to be a team that will be a team that now you're starting to see the real the talent. You're going to start to see the teams that the players that, he's a good one, he's a good one, he's a good one. But they've got a ways to go here. Now, let's say they trade Hertl. Mm-hmm. What do you get for him, right?
Well, I think what you want is you want either a player that's already been drafted. I don't think you want to trade Hertl for draft picks.
I want to draft. I want to get as many draft picks as I can.
But would you rather have a prospect that's already in a team's pipipeline that's established?
Well, it certainly depends on who we're talking about. But if you trade Hertl, and let's say you get a prospect and a draft pick,
okay,
and then
we get both.
Then you make some moves and you start gathering up draft picks, and you can make some trades. I mean, it's a longer, tougher, demanding way to go, because you're asking for patience, again, from the fans, because that's what matters.
Right.
Now, this team is going to look really different in 3 years. It's going to look really different in 4 or 5 years, where those young guys are now established guys and the older guys are maybe done.
Right.
Right? So, I know it's a roundabout and like kind of vague answer, and I guess the reason I'm being so vague is because I really don't have a great idea where they are and what they're going to be. Because again, how's Doug Wilson?
Right.
You know, that we got to understand that too. I think Joe Will and Doug Jr. and Tim Burke are really competent in what they do. They've been in the organization for 30 years. I watched Doug Jr. grow up, for crying out loud. You know, how old am I? So they're very competent. And they have a plan. They sat down with us at the start of the year, brought us into the room, and they told us the plan.
Yeah.
And it's the only way you're going to get better, and the only way you can improve your team in the National Hockey League. So their plan is in effect, but boy, could we speed it up? Yeah.
The future
but
is.
You can't.
I think what you're saying though is the future is. It's obvious.
Yep.
It's their pipeline.
Yes.
And their pipeline has dramatically improved. I don't think it was great a couple years ago. It wasn't in a great spot. But this is like why if you're going to trade Hertl, it's to improve your own pipeline. Now, the point there, though, is that trading Hertl, like March 20th, hypothetically, doesn't make your Sharks team for this year or even maybe next year better. It makes your team in 2 or 3 years better, but that's the patience you're talking about. Okay, here's another one. Roach Dog Jr.
Roach Dog
Jr. checking in saying Eklund will pay off.
Absolutely.
So I actually I want to do a full, not a 360, right? Because you would hammer me if I said I want to go 360 on this one because you're right back to where you started. I want to actually do a 180 on this.
Thank you.
I said when they sent William Eklund down after 9 games that, at first I said it would be a surprise if they did. The way he was playing, it seemed like he could hold his own in this league. But quite honestly, over the course of, I think we're 52 games in now, you see Jonathan Dahlen scratched. Well, it was supposed to be a scratch tonight. You've seen Weatherby, honestly, have his ups and downs, challenges. And those players are all older, bigger, and more experienced than Eklund is. I love William Eklund. Didn't want to see him go back to Sweden. I want to change my feeling now and say that the wise thing happened. And if he watches this, I would rather you be here, but I just don't think it was the smartest thing for William Eklund. Would it have been selfish of the Sharks to say, hey, this kid's got something, people like him, let's just keep him around for us? But it seems like the best thing in his career now. Do you want to? And I know you didn't think that they were going to send him back either.
No. In 1991, the very first year of the San Jose Sharks, we drafted Patty Falloon. It was number 2 overall behind Eric Lindros. Patty Falloon was a terrific junior hockey player. And he was legit number 2 guy behind Lindros. I remember sitting in a conference room like this with all the scouts, general manager, and the coaching staff there. I remember the arguments and the discussions that went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth with everybody about what should we do with Patty Falloon. We thought, from a coaching staff, send him to the Canadian Olympic team. They were going to Albertville that year. He would get a lot of development time. We had other guys, send him back to junior. He'll rule it. He'll continue to get better. We had other guys that said, play in the league. He's good enough to play in the league, and he's good enough to make our team. And he was. He scored 25 goals that year. I think it was 25 goals that year. But it was short-term gain for long-term pain.
Right.
And for William, this was the right thing. And Doug Wilson Jr. described it the best way. They wanted him to go back and play some really meaningful games and some big-time minutes and dominate. They wanted him to become a dominant player, to get that in his head that he could. Mm-hmm. It was the right move. I didn't think they were going to because he was such a standout. And Roach Dog, you're right. It's Roach Dog, right? Or Dog?
Oh, there it is. No, Roach Dog Jr. I think that's what was throwing you off.
You're right. He will pay off.
Roach Dog. You ever think you'd be saying that? Well, you did tonight. Friend of the stream, AJ has a question here. You've talked to AJ before. I've seen some of those interviews. He says, has Drew ever left his feet? I'll get your reaction to that.
Okay, here's the story. I'm a very literal.
Uh-oh, your microphone is cutting out all of a sudden. What's that? Yeah, plug it in. Wait, there we go. Now we're good.
Okay.
That was weird.
I'm a very literal guy.
Yeah.
All right. There's some things, and I drive producer Sean Madison crazy because I will literally, text him during a game when I hear an announcer say something or broadcaster say something. I'll text him and define how wrong it is, as in leave your feet. Okay, you can't leave your feet. Your feet stay attached to your body. You can jump, you can elevate, you can hop, you can leap, you can ascend, you can do all kinds of things. But when you do all those things, your feet are still attached to your body. That was the first thing that drove me nuts. And then there's midair. He knocked it out of midair, or as opposed to what? Low air and high air? Or he just knocked it out of the air?
We have that speak in aviation. Okay. You know, I'm a pilot, but a midair collision.
It's a collision in the air. Okay? Right?
I guess you're right.
Trip up. Oh, you tripped him up. No, you fall down when you get tripped. There's not a trip up. You fall down.
Trip down then? It should be trip down?
It should just be a tripped. Trip. Facial area. No, it's the face. All those things drive me bonkers. This shows you, if it drives me bonkers, how absolutely whacked in the head I am, because those kinds of things actually make me mad. Here's the TV one. We're going to pre-record. No, we're not. We're going to record. This is actually recording right now, right? Dan Ruzanowski said the other day, we're going to pre-record my hit. And then I was on with you for Sharks pre and post.
Right.
So he said, we're going to pre-record. I went, you mean we're going to record it? Because actually pre-recording, we're doing it right now when we're not recording.
That's actually a good
Pre-scout.
point.
We're not pre-scouting, we're scouting.
You're scouting, right.
It's
you're scouting before the pre-game scouting.
Pre-soak.
I get it.
Your car's going to get pre-soaked and then it's going to get washed. No, you're going to soak my car. Those little things, I think we need to get these out of the vernacular so we can be clearer. Clear and precise is the key. So it shows you, though, how much I can drive people crazy when I do this.
I said the word ear hole on a broadcast once, and some guy on Twitter just lit me up. He still goes back to it. I forget his name, but I was talking about, like, I think Vlasic got hit with a puck, like on the helmet where the the holder is, but I guess I called it the ear hole, and then you on the broadcast were like, ear hole, huh? So like, there's a hole in your ear? Is that your ear hole? It's like I really opened
can't believe I would do something so unprofessional.
I didn't want to go into. Speaking of can of worms here, I'm going AJ again. He seems to know what pushes your buttons here. What's Drew's secret to always getting the perfect teardrop in the tie? Hashtag tie 99. So give us your tip here. What do you do there?
Tie it tight. Okay. When you bring it over and under, make sure it's snug and tight. And then when you bring it through, pinch, squeeze, and pull it through. And if it didn't go out the first time, or it's not perfect,
keep working on it.
In the middle, take it off and do it again. That's it.
How many times might it take you? Like, do you ever have a 2 or 3 try tie, and you just, or are you one take Jake?
I'm now usually it's 2. It usually takes me 2 because I won't get it the right length. Like I don't ever get it Donald Trump length. Like I get it too short.
So you mean it's like touching your knee?
Or something else. I get it too short sometimes, and so I got to redo it. But there's a few things that go into it. The number one thing is, though, it's keep working at it. There's an old saying: never trust a man in a full Windsor. Always a full Windsor.
I'm a full Windsor too, actually. I called it a double Windsor. Somebody corrected me.
Yeah, full Windsor, double Windsor, half Windsor. Yeah.
So when you see somebody with a tie that's touching, below the belt buckle, right? Yeah. Is where you're supposed to hit. If you do have somebody whose tie is touching their thigh, like what's your initial? You write the person off. You're like, nope, I can't even talk to that person.
Yeah. The old Drew, like 5-6 years ago would have said something. The old Drew definitely would have said something. The new Drew, I'm trying to be softer. I'm trying to be nicer. I'm a grandfather now. I'm trying to set a better example for my granddaughter. So I'm trying to be the new Drew. Ray Tufts, trainer for the Sharks, the athletic therapist, said to me this year, man, you've gone soft.
It's because you're Grandpa Drew Remenda now.
I'm Papa. I was going to go ahead.
No.
Tell stories about my granddaughter, but she is incredibly gorgeous and cute and funny and smart, and she's going to be obviously brilliant throughout her whole life. But I'll go back to what my dad used to say when my kids were born. If I would have known grandkids were so much fun, I would have had them first.
Good chirp there too. Like
thanks, Bob.
It's a funny thing to say, and it's a chirp too. I'm gonna put this on the screen only because it says Drew is the GOAT. Also Broy. There's a D in there, Tito. But I appreciate what I know you were saying. I appreciate that. Caker Girl says, I like how Brody's in a comfy looking sweater and Drew's in a full suit. Well, that's because he's going to sleep in that tonight, and I will put on pajamas.
You know me. I'm very rarely sit in my jacket because it drives. I'm ridiculous when it comes to keeping everything without creases and everything else. I iron stuff that comes back from the dry cleaner. It
should come back perfectly pressed.
Yeah. So
was it one of your kids who tweeted out a long time ago something like, "I feel like a boss when I jump into a perfectly pressed suit"?
Yeah.
Is it Donovan or Davis when they were on Twitter?
It was Davis, and you know why the suits were perfectly pressed?
Because you showed him how to do it.
No, I did it. Yeah, the old man did it.
Two more things, and then we got to go. Number one, like if you could represent a brand, I think the brand REMENDA, iron brand,
yes, they would
from
be
Germany. They like that's official sponsor of Germany.
That would be the official sponsor of that. Would be because I'm not. Okay, I'll tell you because I've told you everything else.
Because I ironed my shoes.
Okay, once. Okay, because it worked for a little bit. I used to bring my REMENDA on the road. I had 2 REMENDAs. I had one at home, and I would pack one and bring them on the road. I would pack, and actually I started doing carry on because I brought it on the Sharks flight with me. But then when I started in the playoffs, when I had to do commercial travel, I did it on my carry on because I didn't want them to bust my iron.
Right. And TSA's like, "Sir, do you know the hotels have irons?"
Yeah, this lovely lady in Los Angeles TSA, she'd go, "Dear, why are you carrying an iron?" And I said, "Can I take it on board?" She goes, "Yeah, but why are you? The hotels have them." I said, "They don't have irons like this, hon." And she went, "Okay."
It's the reason I bought a REMENDA. I think it was after
when I left, and I left you mine.
That's right. Well, and then later, my wife and I, after getting married, I had like, she won't watch this. I had like $200 at Bed Bath & Beyond, so I'm looking at, oh my goodness, I could get that one. So she didn't. I mean, she wasn't going to use it, so I splurged on that.
When I get to a hotel, like this one, I've been here for a couple of weeks now. First thing I do is I press everything, like everything. And every game, the night before, everything gets pressed. And so I've got it hanging. Shirt hanging, ties.
That's a good way to do it. As soon as you check in,
suit's ready to go.
Get everything ready.
Everything's ready.
As soon as you are mobile and ready to go, ready to wear.
I would when there's nothing I love more than doing laundry and then pressing everything after, like my stuff. And I do the kids' stuff too if they want it.
I'm going to make that a clip, by the way. That's going to be on the internet.
For me, ironing is the most therapeutic thing in the world.
I'm actually with you on that. Yeah. My wife does not understand that. She's like, yep.
I was, you have to have
a lot of steam.
But when growing up, I was that kid that would change. We get back when I was growing up, we go home from school right at noon. I'd change from the morning outfit to the afternoon outfit. And my grandmother, who lived with us, my ma, she said, "Well, if you're going to do that, you're going to learn to do laundry and you're going to learn how to iron." I went, "Okay, Ma," and that was it from there on in.
So, wrapping up here, I've taken way too much of your time.
I don't mind. It's been fun.
How does this go for you? You're back here with us now. I love it. Honestly, I look back even 3 or 4 years ago, and I never thought this would come. And it even still surreal a little bit. I'm like, Drew's back. Or even, when you were doing a couple games with Randy earlier, and I trained my brain. I want you to know this. I had to train my brain for so many years to not say, let's go to Randy and Drew.
Yeah.
And one time, and Curtis will tell you, because he's over there going, "Oh, you said it." Because I was like, go back to the tank. It's Randy and Drew. And this was like 2 years after you left. So, look, I'll kiss your ass plenty. And I have, and I still always will, because you are that influential to me and everybody else. And that I will say that forever and ever. But I want to know, how does this go for you now? You're here. We love it. You just keep doing this until what?
Till they tell me I can't anymore.
Really?
Yeah. I love this. I think I told you this story. I talked to my brother Don, and we were talking on the phone, and he said, "You sound weird." This is in November. And I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You sound happy." I have been. I do the radio show back home and talk about CFL football all the time back in Saskatchewan. Do that 4 hours a day. It's fun. It's great to talk sports, but this is. I love this, and I love where I do it, and I love the team I do it for. I hope that the Sharks have been as happy as I have been, and NBC is happy with me too. I hope I get to keep doing the same thing. It's been But you know what? Even if I don't, I get to go out this time on a much better note. I get to go out smiling. I get to go out, you know what? I got to come back again. I hope it continues. And the Sharks have been fantastic. They've just been so good to me, better than I deserve. And so is NBC. And you know, but if it wasn't for you and Sean Madison and Danny and Randy and Jonathan Becker and Scott Emmerich and Doug Wilson saying, yeah, let's bring him back. He's part of the family. The one thing I'll always tell you, as much as we criticize the team here and there and this and that for stuff on the ice, once you're a Shark,
right,
you're always a Shark. And Doug and they've kept me part of the family, and I'm forever grateful about that.
I was thinking about that the other day. Every pro sports team is open for criticism, like how they do on the field or the ice or whatever, the pitch. But like, there's also the other side of working in this business and being around the people that run the team and all that stuff. And there are, look, I'm not going to name them, but there are some bad sports franchises out there. They don't care about their people. They don't care about anything else. And then they win a bunch, and everybody's like, yeah, they're great. And you're like, no, they're really not. Yeah. And that's why I was saying before, the Sharks almost a little bit unlucky. They're such good. The Sharks Foundation, just the whole community side of it, let alone the hockey stuff. And I want them to be rewarded with this. And it hasn't happened yet. Hopefully sooner than later. I wanted to show you this comment too here. Okay. And this is the last thing we'll do here. Derek says, man, I dropped my season tickets and stopped closely following the Sharks 5 to 6 years ago. But listening to Drew and Brody talk Sharks is bringing back such good memories. Yeah. So to your point, Drew, I think people are just happy to have you back. And yeah, does it bring back the good old days? Of course, but it also is a sense of, you know, here's somebody that you trust and is honest with you, and so.
Thanks, buddy.
I think this could go on all night on this note. So that's where I'm going to cut it off. I'm going to play some theme music to get us out of here. Is there anything you wanted to say about this first live stream for you?
Well, let's do it again. It's been fun. Do you have any Wham? Can you play some Wham for me? Or
no, I have. No? Can you hear this? It's just the theme.
It's the theme song. Yeah, exactly.
This is how I close it out.
Thanks, everybody. I love you all. Thank you.
My favorite part about this is I got to keep talking until it goes dun 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 dun. Yeah, it hit the post. So there's the first one. That's not the one though.
You still got to keep talking.
Yeah,
the whole time.
I usually hit the button earlier, so now I'm just kind of filling. Tonight was an interesting game, right? Like,
yeah.
Sharks were in it, but they were also kind of far away from it the entire time. We should talk about this tomorrow on TV.
Okay, let's do it.
5 shots, 4 shots, and 7 shots. 3 periods of single-digit shots.
Yeah, that needs to jump up big time.
It just doesn't happen to the San Jose Sharks over all the years. That does it for Sharks Night Shift. Oh, here comes the end of the music. A lot of pressure for Drew. His first appearance. I'm Brody. Thanks for watching. We're going to do this all over again tomorrow, except it's just going to be me.
No, sure.
Good night.